welcome to another edition of the podcast. We missed you. Where you been? You don't invite us for lunch. You don't invite us for dinner. Panel is here. Cox.
Shomamboza.
You good? This is the Champions League, son.
Big boys.
The big boys are here.
The big boys club.
We welcome Pep. Welcome.
Shaputa.
We decided these ones are clowning around. We decided to get somebody who can actually have a good conversation and tactics about this thing. SD, you good, son?
I might as well vacate, Mr. No. You are chasing us out. I'm good. It's putting me under pressure.
We're going to talk Champions League. We're going to talk who has made it. But before we get there, tonight, there's a big derby in Cairo. Zamalek versus Ahly. They have taken what they do at home. They have brought it to the international platform of Super Cup.
Zamalek has figured out that the other side of the CAF Champions League
is not that big.
It's a bit tough now, but let's get here and dominate and instead pedal. Mm-hmm. So that's why they find themselves in these kind of situations. Personally, I would love to see them going back into the Champions League. What's going to happen? I really think with Ahly carrying on the momentum that they've been on right now, what they've just wrapped up things at home, this should be a straight win for them. So,
straight win for them. I think this one thing Pesita who's going to score goal is biased in the South African. Pep, Zamalek, the way that you look at them, they seem to make this Confed their thing. And we can't look down on the Confed because it takes a lot to be able to achieve what they've done. And this is their local rival. Surely they've got to want to win the Super Cup.
Yeah, they will want to win the Super Cup, to be honest with you. But I'm looking at the tactical approach of Zamalek. A lot of diagonal balls in their game, a lot of crosses. But
a lot of diving too. They're not African.
Dark arts, a lot of dark arts as well. But both teams understudy dark arts. I think it's the North Africans. I think it's their game model.
Yeah,
but for me, I'm looking.
It's their thing.
But I'm looking at the two tactical structures. A lot of long balls on the other team, and a lot of arrogance. When you talk about the Ahly, it's a team that plays with a lot of arrogance. Africa's number one as well, arguably no Ronza, a very, very good goalkeeper. But I like the spine, it's Ahly, very, very strong spine. I think they have an advantage to Zamalek.
So you, save Zamalek, chief.
No, I can never do that.
You can't save them.
It's very tough to do that. You know, when you look at the team they're facing, they don't call them a team for the century for nothing.
And I think that's important because you look at, and I say Ahly are like the Real Madrid of Africa.
Yeah, they are.
It's not about flesh. It's not about nice.
Nothing fancy.
Haram as much as you can and then get this thing.
You know, Marcel Cole has come into the team. You look from Pito Msiman. Look at the type of football Pito was trying to play. Pito got to understand when he got to Egypt that it doesn't need to be fancy. He reminded me when he was still at Sundowns. We move away from Pito, Marcel comes in. You watch Ahly. He got them to the final.
And they don't care. They just
They waited for them in the league. He won the league.
Because we're talking about an Ahly that has scored 6 goals in 3-3 in 2 matches in CAF competitions, and you're telling me they won't be able to carry that into this competition in particular? Winning trophies is what they do.
No. They've got goals in him.
So pedigree is their thing.
Pedigree,
These guys are talking about pedigree. You know, I'm a self-declared lover of what is happening in Benjamin Cup. Champions League is coming.
Yeah.
The reigning champions are Ahly. I think Simba is the one team that's going to give them a run for their money.
Me and you can agree on that.
For the first time we agree. No, we can end the show.
We can agree
now.
on that because when I look at Simba and I look at Fadlu, what Fadlu is doing into that team, we're not speaking enough about Fadlu, especially in South Africa.
But when you look at what Simba's doing, but you look at what Yanga's doing, you've got to be able to say Wananchi are doing something with Michel Kamondi, chief.
No, we cannot discredit and walk away from Yanga. Yanga has had quite a great season last season. You saw the games against even your own team.
Yeah, no. I still thought
at some point you could drop a pin into the stadium. You could drop a pin into the stadium. Clearly, we saw what this team is capable of. Hence, I'm not going to talk much about Yanga. I'm going to focus on Simba.
No, but we must talk about Yanga. Pep, this one does not want to talk about quality football. We understand. When you look at Yanga, for me, I'm saying that Yanga are going to be the team that says, Ahly, you've got this thing. But they've been on a project. It's been a 3-year project. Because remember, they were in the Confed Cup. And then they moved from Confed to the Champions League. And they said if they get out of the group stages, they were happy. They didn't only get out of the group stages. They almost gave me a heart attack, man. They loved us. This is the third year. And when you look at football, the third year is normally the one that is the delivery year.
Football heritage. Always be there. For me, the fact that they are there gives them an advantage. But also what's important, don't discredit to Miguel Gamondi, which is the head coach of the team. Very crucial. But also they've got some incredible football players in the team, like Abu Azizki. I think, you know what, I underestimated them, but more especially as a ball-oriented team. They're quite very technically very good.
Sound.
You know what I mean? And they've got the right speed as well. They attack the last line aggressively. But when you move on to Fatu Davies, this is a very interesting tactical structure. Even when he was still part of Imarusbek. There's this tactical structure that he uses that plays with two split strikers, where the striker doesn't pin the centre backs. They play in between that space of the centre back and the full back, where they make that deep run behind the defense. For me, I'm looking at Ufatlu, and I'm thinking to myself, he's a maximalist, a ball-oriented coach, but a tactical genius, in my opinion.
Having said that, so because now you're making me think that Confed is now going to be a priority to Fadlu with Simba.
Yeah.
And the Champions League is going to be important with Yanga. Yanga, you know we play Champions League, we leave others to play other trophies. Won't say anything, no offense.
Mamposa, I disagree with you when you're saying the Confed will be a priority for him. I don't think the Confed will be priority for Fadlu. What will be priority for Fadlu would be winning the league. And winning
so he's going to displace Yanga?
Yeah, and getting back into the Champions League.
That's where they belong.
If the owners of the team say, go all the way into Confed, we want to do better in Confed, and the league you can forget about, then I'll really question what is happening there, because you have to find out exactly these two teams where they are. You're talking about a Yanga that's in the third season of the project, and you're talking about a project that is reset on the Simba side. So with them resetting, they have an advantage in the sense that, yes, you are resetting, but you're resetting into a league where you still have a bit of muscle. Yes, you're saying your season was not great, but you still managed to be third. So that tells you something that there's something to build on. So that's why I say to you, the focus will be here to say, get over that hurdle and qualify on the Champions.
So Lekoko believes that the king will be dethroned, or that is at least the mission.
It's the mission, definitely the mission.
Well, that is the mission. South Africans, we have not forgotten you. Orlando Pirates, welcome to the Champions League. It's been a while. Where you been, my friend? You've been in the Confed finals and every other thing, and Pirates have been doing well at home because they've won the MTN 8, they've won the Nedbank Cup, but now they're saying they want to. There's a lot of dethroning that's plotting here, because Orlando Pirates are the team that everybody sees as the one that can dethrone Mamelodi Sundowns as the league champions. Pep, looking at the squad of Pirates, there's changes at the back. Sisane has said, I'm going to own this thing. Nda is saying, I am the captain of this team. How do you see them?
Yeah, well,
in terms of locally and in the Champions League?
They need to approach those two competitions differently because they've got depth. But it's questionable whether the depth has quality. You know what I mean? For me, in my opinion, they've got very good 15 players. Some of the players there are good but very average. Not to Lilia, in my opinion. They've got 15 very good football.
So number 10 is not available, just seeing that.
Yeah, but what makes it but what makes it
Champions League
but what makes it interesting, more especially in the Champions League, is the profile of the strikers that they have. They've got 4 different profiles of strikers. They've got a Mabasa who can pin the defense. In Africa, they are used to dealing with that. Yeah. They've got a Mahopa who can move into pockets, but now they've got a young boy who's coming up, did very well in the second division, Radiopane, who is a mixture of both Umahopa and Umabasa. Can run a channel, technically very good, and he also can stay in the box.
Are we discounting Lepasa as
it seems as if there's question marks around Lepasa, with the super sport conversation happening. We don't know what's going to happen within that space.
Transfer window's closed, Chief.
I understand that part, but what I also want to get in is what Lindo is talking about. You look at a Pirates team, I've always maintained to Cox to say Pirates cannot go the overhaul of a CAF Champions League. And I look at that and I say, the group stages, it might be something fun for Pirates because that's his element. Playing 4 games, 6 games and so forth. That's his element, Uchose. We know that he's good with that. Come the stretch of the CAF Champions League, the players that we are referencing, do they have CAF Champions League pedigree? Do they have that mentality to say we can go
hold it there?
And I want to add on to that, Mamposa, because you're looking at an Orlando Pirates right now. I think if you look at all the teams in South Africa, Orlando Pirates has the most pressure out of everyone. You go and ask Sundowns, what is it that you want to win, sir? I want to win the Champions League. And that's
They're
it.
very
I want
clear.
to win the Champions League.
They're
very clear.
unapologetic.
But you're looking at Orlando Pirates that has to defend the MTN, has to defend the Nedbank Cup. They have to win the league.
But do they have to defend the Coco?
Do they have to? That's another question, but they want to. And that's what Jose has figured out. He's got the pin to do it. He's figured out this cheat code to say, to get the fans off my back, let me win this thing. So they have these trophies, all these trophies where they have to stretch themselves.
But
can they emulate that and go into the Champions League?
Coco, you said a very important word. Stretch yourself. We passed group stages.
Exactly.
Mapagani, I've given you the group stages. Please don't let me down. Okay. If you pass the group stages, locally you will be in there with the Nedbank Cup, which means it's pressure games. You're saying you're running for the league, pressure games,
And here's
and
another
knockout
element.
stages of the Champions League. Whew.
Just to interject on that, we've maintained so far in the seasons that we've seen at Pirates, going away has been a challenge for Pirates. In this season so far, 2 games they've played away, even here at home, when they played Cape Town City away, it was a challenge for them playing in Cape Town. They went out, they played a team, Disciples. It was a problem for them.
Disciples of the Lord gave them a problem.
They created chances, but they couldn't score. Now, with this CAF Champions League, with new teams that are coming in that we don't know much about, they still have to do their homework. Okay, it's not a problem. You'll do your homework. You've got teams that are in pot 1. Teams that have been in this thing before.
Yeah, these people are talking pot one, whatever. Cox. By the time we get there, now the experience is going to come in because you've got Nedbank Cup that must be defended. You've got the league. Because if you're gonna make a run of it, it is
you have
that
to
time,
make it proper.
and that's the knockout
It's
stages at
now.
that time.
Yes.
And then you've got this pressure of continental. Now you're flying.
Yes.
When coming back, you must play. Now, can they do they have the squad and the depth to be able to handle that?
I remember Jose saying...
We know the number they've got, 40.
I remember Jose saying, now we are cooking. Now they're being cooked in the pots. Because remember, they're
So they're no longer cooking, they're cooked now.
Yeah, the Champions League does that. The Champions League cooks you to a point that you get to see all the illusions they get to evaporate because you're like, okay, I really thought my squad was good, but what happened? Because now you get into a point where a lot is being demanded of you. So going back into your question, Maposa, and you look at all the demands that they have to approach this way, the very same way Sundowns approaches it, where to say, come
If
December
they
time,
follow the Sundowns approach is out in the quarters.
yeah, no. Come to look at the league. By the time you go December, we're going to the break. There must be a huge gap. I must have amassed so many points to a point that the
I have a
person that's
cushion.
behind me. But now they're not only going to be saying the person that's behind me. They're going to say maybe the person that's in front of you or the person that's beside me. We don't know what's going to be happening with the race because they want to give it a go. They want to give it a proper go. So it's really going to be testing for Orlando Pirates, and they have to be They have to be ready for that.
The Coco talks about the person that's either above Orlando Pirates or besides them, in my opinion, and it's a very screwed up. It's got to be Mamelodi Sundowns.
It has to.
Because they've run this race before, babe. They've got the experienced players.
Yeah.
They've got players that can show you that I've been there, I've done it, but I've got the hunger to win this thing. There's a different hunger. Because now they're saying, I listened to a podcast with Teko Modise and Shompo Keka, and they're saying, Mshishi, we understand you playing less minutes, but lead us to the promised land, and the promised land is this thing.
For me, I'm looking at the Mamelodi Sundowns squad, and I'm thinking to myself, the first thing is international players. You cannot question. In the beginning of the season, people were questioning the integrity of those players. And I said to myself, you cannot question. You cannot say those players are exhausted, lack of profession. You cannot question with what they've done.
It's a fluke or...
No, those players have been very professional for so many years. For me, I'm looking at the profile of squad. I'm thinking international players, but what's second is professionalism. Those players are above. I think what Coach Rulani did last season is incredible with that squad. I think they play for one another. They work for one another.
There's a brotherhood there.
There's a brotherhood. But what's important is not just the technical team and the players, but I think it's the model of the club on its own. I think the club has moved to a European model where if you don't win the CAF Champions League, you don't win the league, you lose your job. I think the technical...
Goal-orientated.
Goal-orientated. And I'm looking at the players. I was listening to Ronza myself here in an interview in a SuperSport. And he said, we as the players, we'll do it for ourselves. And for me, that was a very impressive thing to say because they are taking initiative. That means you are born because I was unhappy with body language of some of the players. And I think Umangoba, what he's doing, he's working with some of the players psychologically. You know what I mean? Because there's certain things that are happening underlying football. We know that there's some childishness in football that the previous coach can sometimes call the players. So Umangoba is doing a lot of groundwork with those boys, to be honest with you. But I'm looking at the players.
But Hansi Flick is like, this is the law.
Yeah, no, he has to. He has to because there's this thing that he's a very good coach that can work with high-profile players. Yeah. You know, he struggles to deal with high-profile. And I'm happy with the approach because for me, I'm looking at the profile of the team. I'm saying to myself, the introduction of River Kutse gives us a different look, a different personality.
The system. Mara, I hear you. You will forgive us, Masandawana, goal getting excited, but we know that there's a team from Cape Town there in the Confed Buffet. Fermented grapes of Stellenbosch. That team, you can remove any player, they will still play. That team, you can do any. Coach Steve Barker and his technical team, his team of analysts and everything. Pep Banzan Labant. Yeah.
No, just a chance. No, look at the profile. And you know what? It's very impressive of me. More especially last season. I was looking at the profile of their forwards. Babapetu Ura, Titus, Van Veek, Palace, Verenas. I'm thinking to myself, very similar kind of pace, direct, attack the last line.
There's a player in that list.
Yes.
De Jong.
You brain. You are thinking. You think one of the most technically very good, has the right pen resistance because this is what's important.
He's got that slowness that you like, not to your but when he gets the ball, you're like, hey man.
The guy understands the type of football that is played in SA, not only in Stellenbosch. You know, you look at him play and you're like, okay.
But my biggest worry, let's not get too excited. I think Stellenbosch needs to guard against one thing. If you look at the Champions League, there are a lot of teams that are not regulars that are in there. What does that mean? It means the regulars in the Champions League are going to trickle down to the Confed. And you look at the Confed and say, now I see the teams that I know. You look at, your CS Faxons, they are there. Enyimba, they are there. You look at Simba, they are there. So Zamalek, they are there. So that could be a warning factor to say, yes, you're going to be, yes, you are in the Confed, but you're going to be dealing with these teams that have high pedigree and they're so used to being in the continent. And we spoke about Zamalek earlier when we were saying, they've figured out a cheat code where they can be in this competition and just peddle the numbers and, just carry on and do all the things that they need to do. So, yeah.
Having said all those things, the Champions League, the draw is coming up. Watch the Super Cup. This group of people here say that Ahly are going to be the champions. I can't even argue against that. But it's going to be interesting. Benjamin Cup. Can Simba topple Yanga? In South Africa, can Orlando Pirates topple Mamelodi Sundowns? Going to be very interesting. And all I will say is Kabuyelo in Tanzania. Yanga will reign. In South Africa, Mamelodi Sundowns will reign. We look forward to the draw. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe, and we look forward to your comments.